You might not believe it, but Steve Jobs, Harvard Business Review, Desiring God, and Jesus agree that people are gifted. And when we take the time to care for them, equip them properly, and empower them to do good work, they do incredible work. And so our key in life is to care for people to the glory of God. So we've said for a long time at the Center that followers of Jesus have a distinct advantage when it comes to how to care for people, when it comes to loving our neighbors and friends, and especially our coworkers, because we've been given a specific mission from Jesus himself that first gives us the peace to do it. It's not on us, it's him and the Holy Spirit. It's secondly, he gives us the purpose and he gives us the power to do it. He commissioned them in the upper room, and that passes to us, and he says to do it as we go, as he commissioned them before his great ascension. So David Mathis recently said it this way: there are three things that our coworkers and neighbors and cities need from us. They need our witness, our generosity, and our service. And our witness is the most important of all those. All those, our generosity and our service, lead to a witness. And we have a chance to do that every day at work. We have a chance to say things, what we believe about our products and services, what we believe about our customers, what we do for our customers, and then actually do it. And that's a witness. A witness is active, it's more than words, it's action. And it's over the long haul, especially at work. Nobody can see you do things longer and more consistently than they can see at work. So they know what you believe no matter what we say. We've covered why it's such a blessing to share what we know, to share the hope that we have within us, because we get to know him even better when we do it. We've shared how, which we were just talking about with actions, words, and even feelings, as you'll see in the how to do it. And then lastly, we covered where. There's no place to teach better than the workplace. People come there to learn. People come there to increase in value. They don't just come for paychecks. They come to deploy their gifts to the needs of the organization and its customers, and they want to grow just as a company wants to grow. So there's a consistent reciprocation that's available. So, but you have said in our weekly sessions, can you get even more practical? Can we get more practical about how we're a bridge from daily work, and we like to say excellent work that blesses others leads to Jesus. But can you get more specific of how you go practical to blessing to Jesus? And we can. That's the good news. Jobs believed heavily. If you empower people, they'll feel safe and respected to take ownership, and they'll understand their why. Yet, Gallup recently, this is last year's report, and in this Harvard Business Review article that's connected to the site, says that 60% of people feel unengaged at work, and 1 in 5 feel lonely. Well, there's a downside to that, but also that's the opportunity, that's the practicality, that 6 out of 10 people are not fully engaged, and 1 in 5 are feeling downright lonely and depressed. So what can we do about that? We came across this article last year, and I really hadn't been able to stop thinking about how practical it is, and how maybe I've done some of this over my career with employees and as I've led and managed, but not as well and concisely as Rebecca Knight of the Harvard Business Review tells us. She's got 6 questions to find out how your employees are doing, and if we'll do that, well, it will open doors. It in itself, what she's giving us is excellent work that helps lead the employee to do more excellent work, and work that does bless them at the same time because they understand their meaning and purpose. It's a chance to image of God back and forth that say they matter, and they get to say back to you gratefulness and gratitude for it. These questions just provide an excellent opportunity to exchange with your coworkers real image of Godness, meaning that they're made in the image of God and you're made in the image of God. And when you ask deep, thoughtful, even compassionate questions, these questions are compassionate, they bring out how to care about somebody. And when you do that, you tell them that they matter, and when they respond, they tell you that you matter. So it's a great opportunity to exchange that and to be compassionate and really to help somebody do better work. So here they are, and I'm going to make a few comments, but I'm really suggesting, I may say it at least twice, that you get to her video, and it's attached to this video, about 1 minute and 20 seconds of the maybe 6 most important questions you can ask coworkers at work. The first one is, how are you showing up? And she recommends doing that on a scale of 1 to 10. Ask them how you do. It's a way to ask how you're doing. I learned a long time ago that the most important thing in any one-on-one update is to say how you're doing, because based on how they're doing, every other question comes from that. If somebody's having a terrible day, if they had something terrible happen in their personal life, well, maybe we're going to work on just the most two important things at work, and do a new project later. But if they come in and say, I'm great, and I used to have employees do this all the time, coworkers do this all the time, say, I'm great, we don't need to talk about me, we got a client we got to talk about. Then that moves to, we can move to new work and do things. So you know where somebody is, and it's a great way to say it, and to ask it on a scale of 1 to 10, really important. And then ask them this, she says, what's something you're excited about right now outside of work? And everybody doesn't like to talk about outside of work, but to give that opportunity is the perfect way to pave the trail to that you are more than what you do. You're more important than that. And so what are you doing? And if that may be something you have to be patient with. Some will share more frequently, and then you'll find you have more things in common. And then thirdly, do you derive meaning from your work? And that's just a straight up question. What's the meaning that you get? When people have a sense of purpose at work, they have greater job satisfaction. So you might even ask them this, how does your purpose at work align with your purpose in life? That would be a deeper question. We'll get more to that later. Okay, then the fourth question is, what can make this job or organization more compelling for you in the long run? I mean, how long do you want to be here, and what does it need? What does the company need to do to keep you? What do I need to do as a leader? Remember, the leader's job is to match what somebody brings to work with what the company needs, and that's your job. So the more you can do that, and the more you know, and the more you can align and tell them what the roadmap looks like for their own career without over-promising, key point she makes, and the goal is to understand their point of view and their bigger picture and what their purpose is. And then fifthly, kind of the negative of that. What makes you depleted and drains you? And what support can you offer them is the next thing to ask. And this is back to giftedness. We talk a lot about working genius here, but you may find there are a few things that you're asking them to do that drain them, or if they're a colleague that you're working with them and they drain them, and there may be things to swap. Swap examples. I had somebody recently who was so technical and big on wonder, but was not sales-based. He ended up becoming the sales architect of the organization and all the other a resource for the other employees. But it was that kind of conversation that what drains you, what drains me, and how can we kind of reset this together that everybody gets more fulfilled. More on that in Working Genius later. Then sixthly, the sixth question, what are your career goals and dreams? And what can I do to help you get there? This is just like our most important mentoring question. What are your dreams and how can I help you? That is the role of a boss, but they get to open up about what they want. You see how long they want to stay. And it doesn't mean you won't have something for them in that office, but to know those things opens all sorts of doors. And one door it definitely opens is for them to ask you the same questions. So you got to be ready to be open. And part of this you might be saying, I'm not the boss, this doesn't apply to me that well. You can quickly see how these 6 great questions, again, in the show notes, in the article, you're going to see a link to them more defined, and there are even pictures of the questions. But even if you're not the boss, you can see how you could ask a leader the questions, a colleague, a friend or a neighbor. These are kind of the same kind of questions you can, icebreaker. Golf should be more than about golf even. If you're taking somebody to play golf, you can ask these things. And then don't think you're not the leader. If you know Jesus, you are the leader. And when you ask these questions, you see insights into their lives that can help them. You can understand their perspective, and you can be prepared to answer their questions so they see where you're coming from, and maybe they're interested in your opinion. That great verse in Colossians 4:6, let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. So be ready to answer questions, be ready to ask questions, be ready to share what you know, and as Peter tells us, do it with gentleness and respect. And then, it keeps going better and better, don't stop. Ask them maybe the most important question. What do you think the meaning of life is? What's most important to you? Maybe a lower shelf way to ask that. what's most important to you in your life. And they will tell you, especially if you've built all this other trust, this camaraderie in these compassionate ways, and if you've acted to help them with the things they've already told you. Now you have a totally trusting relationship. And so asking them that tells them even more that you care about them, but also gives you an insight into their hopes and dreams, and then you can share your hopes and dreams. You can tell them about the way, the truth, and the life